Y'all know the drill at this point. I do a bunch of research on the series, get on here, talk some junk about it, let you know enough of the lore and story so that when I point out some weird or funny things, you get what I'm saying. With this time around, it was considerably more frustrating because of how much more large and inconsistent Mortal Kombat's lore is. What I've noticed the most about Mortal Kombat, like any fighting game, it is seemingly contractually obligated to have a shit ton of retcons and plot holes and whatnot, but what separates this franchise is Mortal Kombat is not afraid to kill everybody. Which is exactly why they've rebooted the series 3 times with 3 timelines. Some characters in Tekken and Street Fighter died like once or twice maybe. Most characters spanning across these timelines, yes I mean most, have died at least 3 times. I don't think I've ever seen a team of writers hate their cast of characters this much. It's crazy. But first, I do need to go over the timelines just so we're all on the same page. Basically, there are 3 main timelines. The first timeline is known as the original timeline, spanning between Mortal Kombat 1992 to Mortal Kombat Armageddon. The second timeline spans from Mortal Kombat 9 to Mortal Kombat 11. And the third and current timeline starts at Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat is a tournament that is held once every 50 years by the Elder Gods for the fighters of a realm to versus another realm. This tournament is held for a very specific reason. In order for one realm to conquer another, they had to defeat that realm's greatest warriors in 10 consecutive tournaments, meaning they had to kick that realm's ass for 500 years straight and not lose once. Shao Kahn is the Heihachi, the M. Bison, the big bad of Mortal Kombat, and leader of Outworld, which is a distant realm that has been kicking Earth's ass for 9 tournaments straight, meaning 450 years. See, I forgot to tell you, niggas in Outworld don't age like we do. Shao Kahn is said to be over like 10,000 years old at this point. On everything I love, please keep that in mind because I'm about to get real loud in a second. All he needs to do is win 1 more tournament to make this 450-year investment worthy. And this is where I talk very briefly about the 100-year-old trope in media, which I'm not a fan of for 2 reasons. 1, because it's often used in anime to justify a character looking like a child. And 2, most of the time it holds no weight at all because how did a 10,000-year-old get beat by some random Chinese nigga? This is some of the craziest plot armor I've ever seen. This is the 2nd game in the franchise, mind you. I promise you it does not get better for Shao Kahn because the most recent game, Mortal Kombat 1, 30 years later, this man is still 10,000 years old getting his ass beat by a rice farmer. A rice farmer. Not even the final boss or anything. He gets clapped 1 hour into the game. I have a lot of respect for Shao Kahn, which I will get into why later in the video. But I have just 2 questions for these Outworld people because it's not just him, it's most of the residents. My question is, what have y'all been doing for 10,000 years to be losing to regular ass people who've been alive for less than 1% of your lifetime? And 2, how long have you people been living in these circumstances? If you've seen the state of Outworld, you know exactly what I'm talking about because everybody's thousands of years old and still walking around into Jerusalem once. You niggas are thousands of years old and nobody know what the fucking HDMI cable is and nobody has invented Bluetooth yet. Y'all should have every color tooth in the rainbow on some Power Ranger shit. You savages have failed your community. No Colgate, no air conditioning, just magic, reptiles, and ugly ass niggas. Y'all just sound like Australia but worse. Speaking of Australia, you remember when I said most of the residents were thousands of years old? Well, I feel like Outworld is a good example of why we have no business becoming a multi-planetary civilization. See, Outworld serves as nothing but a looming threat to planet Earth as we know it. And then you got niggas like Kano and Aaron Black who would betray the entire human race to chase a bag. Kano is an Australian mercenary and leader of the crime organization known as the Black Dragon. And Aaron Black, who is not associated with the Black Dragon, and is not black, is a bounty hunter hailing from Texas. I have no idea how either of these guys made it to Outworld. You can only get there by portal, and I'm not sure if you can just make your own with obsidian blocks or some shit. We already never get along with ourselves on Earth, which is why I'll never understand the push to Mars. If we add another planet to the mix, it's just gonna shed light to some of the most devious suckers we've ever seen. I neglected to mention Shang Tsung, who is a sorcerer that has worked closely with Shao Kahn for hundreds of years. And he has betrayed every kind of living being that has ever existed. Zombie, human, demon, sorcerer, god, reptile. And he's just a random nigga from China. He's not even from Outworld, he just do it for the love of the game. I'll give some credit to Kano and Aaron Black, right? Because if I was a wanted criminal, then I'd probably switch teams too. But my point still stands. Outworld is technically a multi-planetary, multi-race civilization due to multiple realms having already been merged with Outworld. And guess what? Nobody's doing anything to further advance that civilization. Shao Kahn priorities is all the way up ass backwards, trying to invade more realms when Outworld still looked like a fifth world country. Shao Kahn was rich. He had money, Cam. Shao was still robbing people. How are you rich and you're robbing people? I was happy as hell when I found out Shao Kahn died. Nigga, I could draw all of our content. Last thing about Aaron Black, I really wish these characters would just stop calling him Black.
Nice to see you again, Legs.
These legs will kill you, Black.
Just call him by his first name, please. Just call him Aaron. Just call him Aaron. It's not hard. That shit don't even sound good on pit. Let me read you a line from Mortal Kombat 1 that Scorpion says to Aaron Black. This is an official line. The Shiraira you despise, you Black. If you thought that was bad, I got another one for you. Die Black. Guess who says this line? Literally the blackest person in this entire franchise. I wish I was making this up.
You cannot ignore the face of death.
Well, not when you're all gussied up.
Die, Black.
But anyways, as I said before, I got respect for Shao Kahn. He did somehow choke a 450-year lead, don't get me wrong. But the reason the original timeline was reset was because in the end, he won. In the original timeline, it was prophesied that the end would be near, due to far too many combatants constantly engaging in battle that resulted in the realms shattering bit by bit. Don't ask me how that makes sense. It's a fighting game. Just lock in for me real quick, please. The way that they found an answer to this was with an elemental named Blaze, who they placed at the top of the pyramid. They said the first to reach the top of the pyramid and defeat Blaze basically became a deity of their own. Now, this was essentially a free-for-all with every single Mortal Kombat character that made an appearance up to this date. And with Shao Kahn being the man who would come to defeat Blaze, as well as the only person who survived, his strength increased tenfold and he ended up merging and conquering all the realms. And then after running out of things to conquer, I kid you not, he just went insane. He literally started suffering from success, bro. Seeing as nobody survived, not even Shao Kahn's sanity, this brings us to the very first reboot of the franchise, Mortal Kombat 9. As I said before, this was basically a soft reboot that was a retelling of the first 4 games, except Raiden now knows that the end is coming. How? Just before Shao Kahn had defeated Raiden, Raiden spoke into his broken amulet, telling himself in the past 3 words just before the Mortal Kombat tournament began.
He must win.
And because of how incredibly vague future Raiden was, the whole story of Mortal Kombat 9 just consisted of Raiden being a desperate, nervous wreck, trying to figure out who he is, which then causes so many unnecessary bodies. Basically, for most of Mortal Kombat 9, he's trying to prevent Shao Kahn and friends from invading and winning the tournaments. Remember that at this point, we've gone back into the past to where Shao Kahn still needs one more win to conquer Earth. Liu Kang wins again, but Shang Tsung convinces Shao to press Earthrealm to do another tournament. This time on his terms with home court advantage. Raiden, having this vision of his from the future, causes him to make a lot of decisions on the fly in hopes that it would steer the fate of Earthrealm within his desired path. One of these decisions, for some reason, includes letting Sub-Zero get kidnapped in front of everybody. After hearing of the original Sub-Zero, Bihan, and his demise by the hands of Scorpion.
The Shirai Ryu are dead. You will suffer as they did. To hell with your clan. No, to hell with you!
Bihan's little brother, Kuai Liang, travels to the Coliseum in Outworld where the tournament is being held. Literally walks up to Shao Kahn and demands to fight Scorpion now. Shao then proceeds to honor his demands, and then they get to squabbling. You feel me? Just as Kuai Liang was about to deliver the finishing move, these robots come out of nowhere. You ever seen a nigga get jumped cybernetically? 6 Lin Kuei robot goons surround Sub-Zero and beat his ass. If you've ever wondered why microwaves heat food so much faster than ovens, this is exactly what they be doing to your food, bro. I forgot to mention, the Lin Kuei is a ninja clan that at this point is pushing for their members to become robots. Cyrax and Sector being among the first victims. Both Sub-Zeros are also a part of this clan, hence the hate crime. It is also worth noting that Scorpion is from the rival clan known as the Shirai Ryu. You know, the one that despises black. This might have been one of the single most avoidable moments in all of Mortal Kombat. They were surrounded Sub-Zero for a good like 3 minutes and nothing else was going on in these 3 minutes. Smoke tries to step in and help his friend, but Raiden stops him and says, "You cannot save him." Mind you, Raiden literally helped Smoke, who is in the same predicament. Raiden must have some type of beef with Kuai Liang because he stopped everybody else from trying to help. He wild for still teaming up with the good side. If I was Kuai Liang, I would have hated everybody there forever. What's even weirder is that the very next game, he's no longer Cyber Sub-Zero. Why? I don't know. Shortly after this, Raiden thinks, he must win. Maybe I was talking about Kung Lao. Maybe he must win. Now, Kung Lao, if you don't know, is a Shaolin monk who is best buddies with Liu Kang since the first game. So they go way back. He has a bit of an ego, but it's okay because he's always been able to back it up. He beats up Shang Tsung and Quan Chi in a 2v1. And that reminds me, Shang Tsung is supposed to be Chinese in this game. I don't know why he looks Puerto Rican. Now, after beating these three, Raiden and friends watch Shao Kahn literally walk up behind this nigga and snap his neck. Man, I say Raiden and friends, but I'm looking the hardest at Raiden because his last words was talking to you and you were looking dead in his face. There's no way you didn't see that coming.
Kung Lao's death is my fault. I encouraged him.
We know! Fast forward in the story, Shang Tsung had failed Shao twice at this point.
Shao Kahn is finished. Melina is his heir. She should rule. Melina? She exists only because of my sorcery.
It's up! I ain't never said you was nice, nigga.
Emperor! You live!
I ain't even want you on the team. Fuck is you talking about, bitch? Want your sorry ass on the team? You're a pretty boy ass, prima donna ass nigga.
Leading Shao Kahn just straight up rob this man of his soul and give it to Sindel, who was revived by Quan Chi, who is another sorcerer that often works alongside Shao Kahn. It's worth noting that Katana is Sindel's daughter. Trust me, keep that shit in mind. Sindel is revived and given Shang Tsung's soul, which makes her twice as powerful. And she's basically told to go over to Earthrealm and fucks it up. This leads to the craziest whoop-assery that I've ever seen done on actually important characters. We've all seen movies and shows and games where a character wins a 1v5 or a 1v10 or a 1v20 or a 1v50, but never when they do it against real characters as opposed to just nameless fodder. She was in a cut looking like a damn Viltrumite against starting 5 roster lineups. Striker? Clapped. Jade? Clapped. Jax? Clapped. Smoke? Smoked. Cabal? Caballed. Katana? Yes. Her own daughter. Cyber Sub-Zero, the guy that 2v1 2 giant 4-armed muscular dudes, he got smacked with a 3-piece combo and apparently that was all it took. No sides, no drinks, no sauce, no nothing. The only way they got rid of Shorty was because of Nightwolf, who had to sacrifice himself in the process. Johnny and Sonya miraculously survived this encounter. I genuinely don't know how because not even Sindel survived this. Needless to say, all of this would have been avoided if y'all actually jumped her and not fight her one-on-one, but whatever, man. This moment was still raw like 12 years later, but what was going on in that writer's team, man? Some of the characters I've named, I've not said anything about yet, but I want to highlight one of them specifically. Since Mortal Kombat 3, we've had quite an interesting character on the roster. And no, I'm not talking about the 4-armed half-naked guy that kind of looks like Mike Tyson in the face. I'm also not talking about the centaur that was briefly a minotaur and back to a centaur for some reason. I'm talking about Striker, one of the most regular characters, and because of that, one of the weirdest. Like, this guy is just a police officer, bro. Why are you here? But it's not just that. See, his bio says that he's quite exceptional at his job. He was once decorated for single-handedly thwarting the terrorists in the famous Greenberg Tower incident and for rescuing passengers of a speeding bus rigged to explode. That all sounds like quite the amazing heroic activity, but I just find it interesting that we have absolutely no footage from either of those situations. I've never heard of the Greenberg Tower incident personally. I don't know about you. But what we do have footage of is New York's finest yelling at the top of his lungs, police brutality coming up. We got your role model police officer on record saying this multiple times to multiple different people for 13 years. How the f is he still in the police force?
They got your ass on camera.
Niggas ain't got me in no fucking camera.
This is the clearest video I've ever seen. This is the most HD shit ever. This is 4K! How did they get you in 4K?
That ain't me.
Apparently, he's like the strongest, most regular dude ever, because in his chapter, New York is getting invaded by Outworld, and he has no idea what is going on, yet is single-handedly beating up Reptile and Kentaro and Ermac. In that order, I think.
Enough of this. It's you and me, freak show.
Round 1. Fight! Humans, less ugly when they burn. Round 1.
The Emperor will have your soul. Yeah, come and get it.
Round.
But like, how did he beat Ermac? He got a hold of Stryker, and he could have ended that chapter right then and there, and we'd move on to the next character. But for some reason, he got a hold of him and tossed him into the subway. Man, imagine having the power of telepathy and still losing. This telepathy shit is not cut out for you. Just go ahead and start flipping patties, bro. Because how did you still lose? Some of these guys in Mortal Kombat is just like, how are you losing? The power scaling in this game, the power scaling in Mortal Kombat is insane, bro. Now, up until this point, I've not said much about the two poster boys of the franchise, Scorpion and Sub-Zero. For most of these games, they despise each other. Being members of rival clans have to do with it naturally, but Bihan is said to have been responsible for the death of Hanzo Hasashi's family. Hanzo in turn seeks revenge for them and succeeds, but only for Bihan's brother, Tundra, or Kuai Liang, to take his title on his mission for vengeance for his brother. But starting in Mortal Kombat 10, going into 11, they become friends, despite their history, which was honestly super wholesome to see. I say all of this because now in Mortal Kombat 1, instead of Kuai Liang becoming Sub-Zero after Bihan's demise, Kuai Liang is Scorpion and Bihan is Sub-Zero. This is one of the many changes that occurred in Mortal Kombat 1. Shao Kahn is now General Shao, and Liu Kang and Raiden's role are switched. So Liu Kang is the deity, and Raiden is Earthrealm's humble champion. With Liu Kang being the creator of this timeline, this is the first Mortal Kombat where I'm asking myself, how are half of these people Mortal Kombat characters? Like, this is the nicest group of people I've ever seen. But I don't mean like nice as in they're on good side of story and fighting for the greater good and all. I mean like, how are you in a fighting game nice? Raiden in this timeline is a humble rice farmer, not a god or a deity of any kind. But like, the thought of this timeline's Raiden having fatalities is so crazy to me. Cyrax too. With Kung Lao, he still has his edge, right? Like, he's still the cool, funny, super confident second in command that he's always been. And I love that. Raiden's dialogue is like Insomniac Spider-Man 2 side character levels of nice. Like, it gets to a point where I start to root for the assholes in the game for the sake of making shit interesting. But everybody is either insanely polite or just a dickhead. Like, you got Bihan. For some reason, he's always talking like this, like an alpha male. He's all like, he really needs to just give this voice a fucking rest. Then Raiden's over here like, I just hope I can make it back home from Madame Bo's cooking. I'll keep on fighting until the end. I hope the Shirai Ryu succeeds. I'm not playing Mortal Kombat to watch everybody pat each other in the back and crack jokes, nigga.
Calm down, Jamal.
The Shirai Ryu rated? Seriously? Did you not hear what they said about black people? I'm not gonna lie though, if I had to pick, I'd definitely choose this Raiden over Mr. I must consult with the Elder Gods. I think gender-bent Cyrax is cool and all, but like, you're more of an Overwatch character. You are not a Mortal Kombat character. Switch Cyrax for Doomfist or Reaper. Nobody would ever notice that Cyrax was even there. Doomfist, in my opinion, would be perfect in Mortal Kombat if it weren't for Jax and Gears already existing. Speaking of Jax, I don't know if Jax was the first to be this, but Black Cyber Nigga might be top 5 character tropes. That shit has not failed me yet. Cyborg, Frost, Doomfist, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. Come on, huh? Come on, huh? Honorable mention, Luther from Detroit Become Human. That's my dog right there. That's my dog. But anyway, I love the way that time travel was utilized in Mortal Kombat 9 as a plot point. I did enjoy 11's and its use of time travel as well, but I wasn't really a fan of Kronika or the other shorty, I'm forgetting her name. I think her name is Centurion or something. Wasn't really a fan of Mortal Kombat 1's use of timelines. That was just so annoying. And Chaos Reigns continued to double down on the timeline bullshit, except it's shorter, worse, and $50. Time traveling in alternate universes is sometimes a slippery slope because it's often used as a crutch in writing, which can lead to a story becoming too messy and is often due to, well, writing themselves into a corner. For example, Saints Row 4, where they blew up the planet. They just blew up Earth. I don't know why, but they did. Literally, how else do you come back from that aside from like a reboot or writing yourself deeper into a shitty corner? Mortal Kombat frequently does shit like this, and it's so unnecessary. In Mortal Kombat 3, Shao Kahn wiped 7 billion people off of the face of the earth with the Soul Tornado. 7 billion people except for the ones who would represent Earth in the Mortal Kombat tournament. But why did he need to do all of that? This nigga literally worse than Thanos. This genocide was reversed in the same game when Earth beat out Shao Kahn again. But my point still stands, because another example is Mortal Kombat Armageddon, where they forced themselves to reboot pretty much. Mortal Kombat stories weren't always perfect, but they definitely started shitting up the back as soon as they introduced that bald white lady. I really hope this next one, we don't gotta do it with no timelines or time travel. We must not move backwards. Time marches on. What I do like about Mortal Kombat 1 is they brought back a lot of classic characters. One of the characters they brought back hasn't been in a Mortal Kombat since Armageddon. And honestly, it should have stayed that way. The only sort of character trait that Reiko possesses is just being a Shao Kahn glazer. Literally since his very first appearance in Mortal Kombat. At first, he didn't really have anything to his character since the devs wanted to keep him somewhat mysterious, I guess. Then they decided, well, he kind of has to have something about him in his story for crying out loud. So the only thing they added to him is the fact that sometimes he likes to wear Shao Kahn's helmet.
Find Reiko. Tell him I am not pleased by his intrusions.
I am Reiko, General of Shao Kahn's army. What is it you wish to tell me? Oh, Shao Kahn knows about that? Tell him I will no longer enter his chamber or wear his helmet. But just between us, his helmet will belong to me in due time.
Since then, he's just been a fat-ass dick rider. This dude be doing the craziest tricks on it, man. Not even 2 seconds into his character ending in Mortal Kombat 1. He's already talking about Shao Kahn. It's the first person you see in Reiko's, and saying Shao Kahn within the first 3 words is crazy. At least introduce yourself, nigga. My name is Reiko. At least, nigga, shit!
This mission gladly. I can think of no greater honor than to give my life in a general's service.
At the very least, you can tell that Shao Kahn actually cares about Reiko, since Reiko is his second in command and he's raised Reiko since he was a little boy. Whether he did a good job or not is extremely debatable. I personally don't think so. Another big issue I want to bring up is a serious issue with the game's retcons. But I'm not talking about story retcons, no, because I feel like there are too many retcons in a story to the point where I don't even want to bother this video with just drag. I'm talking, they be retconning these niggas' faces in every single game. The same character will look a completely different person in the next game. Now, I've seen this point brought up by another YouTuber, so I'm going to very quickly play this clip just so I can add to their points.
You know what really makes me struggle to care about the Mortal Kombat characters? Let me show you something real quick, bro. This is Jin Kazama in Tekken 3. Okay, now 4. Alright, now 5, 6, 7. Now take a look at Kitana. I'm not even gonna show you what she looked like in DC 9 or 10. I'm gonna show you what she looked like in 11, the last game.
Who?
Now, to be fair, some faces in Tekken have slight changes with the years, which is a given, obviously. But Mortal Kombat doesn't even try to make them look like the same person. The only exception I'll maybe give is for Bi-Han and Kuai Liang. Given that Sub-Zero and Scorpion are now brothers, that could warrant a change in the face. But also Reptile, since within the current timeline, he's now able to shapeshift to a human form, whereas in previous timelines, he was kinda just a lizard dude. But then everybody else's faces changed anyways, including Mileena and Kitana, who were already twins to begin with. But it's not that anybody is ugly or unattractive and that's why I'm upset, no. And it's not so much the faces changing up to the point of Mortal Kombat 11 for me. My issue is more so the changes from Mortal Kombat 11 to 1. That was so fucking unnecessary. Genuinely, why? Now, this isn't the case for all characters, obviously. Baraka has the same exact face in every single Mortal Kombat game. You'd have to try extremely hard to mess up Baraka's design. Ugly ass bald nigga with mad teeth. So much teeth that it is biologically impossible for him to say his own name, let alone like most of the lines that he says in every game. Aaron Black is the same exact person in 10 and 11. Word for word, bar for bar, and that's how it should be. But then you have Shang Tsung, who is one of the craziest examples of this. Like, I'm sorry, do my eyes deceive me, or is Shang Tsung wearing a do-rag in Mortal Kombat 2? These two are the same characters. This is supposed to be a Chinese man, and for some reason he looks like Cat Williams in the face. Like, I get that he's a shapeshifter, which means that whether it's intentional or not, him looking like 5 different people is low-key still in character for him. But by that metric, Liu Kang should also be a shapeshifter, cause damn, bro. Y'all think Shang Tsung is passing a wave check?
What?
I'm just saying, if Norman Osborn can have waves, why not this nigga? Regardless, I feel like most characters are still recognizable through their design. So realistically, it isn't that much of an issue. But it is so unbelievably weird that they can't ever stick to just one face. Now, just as Kane says, it's making it extremely hard to develop any sort of connection to these characters. I mean, who is this man? I truly believe everybody looked and sounded their best in Mortal Kombat 11. Liu Kang, Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn. No offense, bro. Don't take that mask off ever. Don't listen to Tyler. Put that shit back on, please. Kitana, Mileena. This is the only version of Mileena where honestly, I would. But I have to think really hard about it first, though. No, y'all can't make me feel ashamed about that shit. I don't give a damn.
The hell wrong with you? Hey, yo!
Now, I've talked about mostly everything I want to talk about for these games, except for one last thing, just one more thing. Mortal Kombat got some of the goofiest fighting stances I've ever seen in my life. And I feel like I'm going crazy looking at these stances because nobody ever points them out in the comments. Man, imagine you get in a heated argument with somebody and they start doing this. Either this a crackhead just doing shit, or you about to get beat so bad you gonna start juggling you mid-air in real life. But either way, this stance is insane. Who taught this nigga how to fight? I don't know what the fuck was going on in Mortal Kombat 4, but nearly everybody just got a dumbass stance. Smoke has the same stance as like 5 other characters in some of these games, but the only difference is it looks like he fucking reeks. God damn. This is the type of dude that you gotta buy deodorant for his birthday. I already told him, stop messing with that 13-in-1. And look, I get that this is supposed to be a karate stance, and I know I keep saying I'm sorry when I'm truly not. But I'm sorry. Nobody named Jonathan Carlton should be hitting this pose, bro. Stop it. Whoever came up with the nickname Johnny Cage saved that man's life. I swear, bro. Most stances are based off of real fighting styles, like Shang Tsung's being based off of snake-style Shaolin Kung Fu. But when he uses his sword, his stance changed to this. What fighting style is this based off, nigga? What kind of tactical advantage could you possibly gain in combat by doing that shit with your shoulders? Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about with this series. I don't know why, but every Mortal Kombat up until 9 just feels like everybody in the writer's room was trying to cook up some of the goofiest fighting stances for some of these characters, bro. Maybe some of them were supposed to look like that, but like, Shang Tsung, I promise you don't gotta do that shit with your shoulders, bruh. You can say, what is going on with my voice, man? You can say what you want about Mortal Kombat, but I have to admit, they've always put a lot of effort into their storytelling. Unfortunately, that doesn't make them good. However, it would be wrong for me not to commend the effort put into them since the very first installment. The character bios, the dialogue between fights, the story modes, the choreography, etc, etc. Like, for a fighting game, they were always ahead of their time because most other fighting games did not have as much emphasis on world building and character lore. That's not even to mention the arcade endings. I feel like just by the character dialogue, they are still way ahead in storytelling compared to their competitors. Not anymore though, since they shortened the dialogue interactions to just 2 lines in Mortal Kombat 1 as opposed to 3.
We are many. We are many more.
We are many more, but infinity times infinity, no paybacks.
Mortal Kombat 11 was definitely the peak of character interactions in fighting games, in my opinion. No, wait. That and also Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Those 2 games are like the peak of character interactions, for me at least. I personally don't think they should do, I don't know what's going on with my voice, man. Cameos for the next game. That's a cool concept and it does allow for like really cool looking combos. But in my opinion, it's just a half-assed tag team game. And I would much rather a Mortal Kombat that fully commits to the tag team concept or not at all. Or maybe have the best of both worlds and have tag team be a separate mode. But I also would love to see them introduce the Conquest mode again. This was basically an open world version of Mortal Kombat where you could like walk around the realms and take a bunch of quests from people and shit. A modern version of this would be really cool in my opinion. Deception was entirely ahead of its time with that mode and it's one of my earliest memories with Mortal Kombat. That as well as Mortal Kombat vs. DCU and Mortal Kombat 9. I think nowadays, more than ever, would fit perfectly within today's fighting game atmosphere. What with Street Fighter 6 having World Tour and Tekken 8 with the elements of Tekken Force and Scenario, campaign and its story. The story mode in Tekken 6 was co-op as well. That game was so ahead of its time for some reason. Bonus points if you can like make a character, but if I had to play as Raiden or something, I wouldn't mind.
Impressive.
Anyways, that is all for today's video. Thank you for your time. Have a blessed day. And it's f*** the Shirai Ryu till I die. All them niggas.